As a child, my summers were spent in an enchanting cabin nestled in the woods near Coudersport, Pennsylvania. Tucked away in the dense woodlands of Potter County, it was an idyllic retreat between whispering pines and a serene lake. The summer I turned 10, the world was a tapestry of endless possibilities woven with the threads of summer days and starry nights. My uncle owned the cabin, a robust man with a hearty laugh and a penchant for tall tales. My cousins, Jake and Emily, and I were his eager audience, absorbing his stories of the woods like sponges. We roamed the forest, embracing the freedom that comes miles away from the nearest neighbor. One night, or rather in the darkest hour before dawn, our adventure took an unexpected turn. My uncle shook me awake, urgency clouding his usually warm eyes. "Time to go fishing," he whispered, his voice tense. Disoriented and still tangled in the threads of a fading dream, I stumbled out of bed. Fishing at this ungodly hour, we stumbled out of our beds, groggy and shivering in the cold air. The darkness enveloped us, thick like the kind you only find miles away from the nearest streetlight. A storm brewed in my uncle's furrowed brow as he herded us down to the dock. The boat ride was a blur of hushed whispers and shivers. My uncle's flashlight scanned the shoreline, casting eerie shadows that seemed to come alive. We arrived at his friend's cabin across the lake, shrouded in darkness. His friend, a grizzled man with eyes that had seen too much, welcomed us with a nod and a whispered greeting. My uncle and his friend exchanged looks filled with silent communication. "Kids, head up to the loft and stay there. Don't come down until I tell you," my uncle commanded, his voice low and urgent. Confused and worried, we trudged up to the loft, watching from our perch as our uncle and his friend grabbed a few items and left, leaving us alone in the dimly lit cabin. Up in the loft, we huddled together, the thrill of adventure giving way to a creeping dread. We whispered theories and stories, each more outlandish than the last. The cabin's walls seemed to press in on us, the wind outside singing a haunting melody. Dawn broke, its feeble light attempting to dispel the shadows of the night. My uncle and his friend returned, their faces drawn and tired. Words were unnecessary as we packed in silence, the atmosphere heavy with unspoken fears. The drive back to civilization was quiet. My uncle's eyes were fixed on the road ahead, lost in thoughts he wouldn't share. We left the cabin and its mysteries behind, the trees standing sentinel, their secrets whispered only to the wind. Years passed, and the memories of that night faded. It wasn't until a family gathering many years later that my uncle finally revealed the truth. The persistent sound at 3 a.m., the deliberate cutting of a massive jack pine to block our path, and the unseen watcher in the woods. My uncle's story painted a picture of a night on the edge of something dark and dangerous. The fear was tangible, a thick fog around us, and the rifle stood as a silent guardian against the unseen dangers of the night. We had been on the brink of an unknown peril, blissfully unaware of the danger that lurked so close. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, I was left with a chilling thought. How often do we brush against the unseen perils of the world, blissfully unaware of how close we come to danger?